Welcome to 20 Minutes with Mike, brought to you by Legal Ease, the ultimate guide on how to survive a law practice. The Chastain Law Office of Gold River, California, and Barking Frogs, your best source for race swag. Go bigger and louder. Now here's your host, Mike Chastain.
Well, welcome to 20 Minutes with Mike. I'm very excited to have you with us today. We've got an excellent presentation, I think. We're going to be talking about the secret weapon of sleep. So since we only got 20 minutes, let's get started. Well, if any of you know me or have listened to any of my other podcasts or looked at my website or whatnot, you know that for well over a decade, I was expedition length adventure racer. And what that meant was I got the great opportunity to travel all around the world and compete in these wonderful events. But it also meant that I got to learn a lot about sleep deprivation. See, one of the core things about adventure racing is that you go 24/7. You race day and night, and you sleep when you want to. I also happen to be in my professional life, I happen to be engaged in the second most sleep deprived profession on the planet, and that's being a lawyer. So I know a lot about sleep deprivation. I know a lot about trying to manage without sleep, and over the years, I have come to the realization that the secret weapon to success is sleep. If there is one thing that you can do to improve your performance, and I don't care what your performance is, whether it's, giving an opening statement in a trial or giving a presentation to a group of people or playing in a band or running a race or just going to work and doing a hard day's work, the number one thing that you can do to improve your performance across the board is to get enough sleep. I mean, studies have shown that that's when your brain heals. And if you've ever been engaged in any sort of true sleep deprivation, you've been up for 24 hours or 48 hours, you know what it feels like, that you're just kind of worthless. Now, while I, would do races that sometimes would be 10 days long, and we'd sleep for, 2 hours a night and go through the what they call the sleep monsters, the sleep hallucinations, where you actually were seeing things. You'd see people and stuff that, just wasn't there because of, lack of sleep. Most people don't go through that. But what most people do suffer from and have to deal with is just chronic sleep deprivation, the lack of sufficient sleep over a lengthy period of time. And the issue of, well, what do you do about that? Well, the answer is simple: is that you need to make sleep a priority. My generation, I'm a baby boomer, and my generation, we were really taught that sleep was an inconvenience, kind of a waste of time, one of those things you just had to do. You could sleep when you're dead, just power through it, have another cup of coffee, have a Red Bull, whatever. And that's just wrong. I mean, that was just, that was not good information. And as I've gotten older, I've come to learn that the secret weapon to performance, the way that you get the maximum performance out of yourself, is sleep. Now, so how do you do that? Because you're probably thinking to me, or sitting there thinking, yeah, Mike, I know that I'm supposed to get more sleep, but I got all this work to do, and there's this great show on Netflix, and I got to get up at the crack of dawn, and there's just no way. And so let me give you a couple hints of what to do. I hope that I really don't need to spend a lot of time convincing you that sleep matters. I mean, and I'll just tell you, I put my money where my mouth is. This past week, uh, even though it was a short week coming off the 4th of July, it's been super hot. We've been really working hard. There's been a lot of stuff that's been going on, and I've just been tired. I look back at my journal and I see that I've just been tired, and I've been dragging. So Saturday, I just decided uh, my priority, my intention for the day was to get some rest. So I slept in, I got up, I read, I took a nap, I read some more, I took another nap, and then I went out to dinner, and I really feel so much better. I just it made a big improvement. So let me give you a few suggestions on, how to, one, track it, and two, to improve your sleep. So my good friend Blaine Elkers coined this term, white table. What you think about, you bring about. What I have learned over the years, and part of the great benefit of journaling, and you can go back onto one of my 20 minutes with Mike about journaling and the importance of journaling. But one of the great things about journaling is that you can really track what's going on in your life. We tend to forget, and we don't see the patterns if we're not writing it down. One of the interesting things about sleep deprivation, at least in my experience, is that if you uh, don't get a good night's sleep tonight, you won't necessarily feel it until the next day. So let's say Monday you don't get a good night's sleep. Tuesday you might be okay. Wednesday's when you tend to feel it. And if you don't, start to make it up, definitely on Thursday. So and you might not necessarily connect the dots and go, why am I feeling so lousy? Why am I dragging today? Um, because I got a good night's sleep last night. Well, it may very well be that you didn't get a good night's sleep a couple nights before. So let me give you just some thoughts on this. That, if sleep is really a problem, if you're just feeling like you're tired all the time, I mean, there could be something medically wrong, and you might want to check that out. But one of the quick tests is just start tracking it. So how many hours a night are you sleeping? Now, I will tell you that, we talk about this 8 hours, right? Well, 8 hours might be right for you. It might be too much. It might be not enough. I mean, I know that there are times when I need 10 hours. And then there's times where I get by, really well on 6 or 7. It kind of depends on a whole bunch of other things that are going on. But in order for you to really know what works best for you, you need to track it. And I suggest that you do that. And the way I would suggest tracking it is, track 3 different numbers. One, how many hours of sleep did you get? What was the quality of that sleep? So you might just do a scale 1, 1, 2, and 3. 1 was awesome. I slept all the way through the night. It was a great night's sleep. 2 was, it was a good night's sleep. I might have gotten up once. And then 3 would be, it was really restless. I barely, I was having a tough time sleeping. I kept waking up. I mean, that was me a couple nights ago. I just kept waking up. I had to get up and go to the bathroom, and, I did that like 3 times, and, I just kept waking up. Whereas last night, man, I slept all the way through. So you track how many hours, you track what's the quality of your sleep, and then track how you felt that day. It could be smiley face, could be frowny face, right? It could be really simple. But I think if you started to track it, a couple things would happen to you. Number one, you would start to get more sleep simply by paying attention to it. It'll bring it to your attention, and you will start to make changes. That's the case. One of the things when they talk about trying to get your financial house in order, if you're having trouble with that, and I know that this was an issue for me for a long time. I hated looking at my bank account. I didn't want to balance my checkbook. And so I just kind of ignored it. And because I ignored it, it just totally spun out of control. Nowadays, I look at my bank account every single day, which means I know exactly what's in there, which means I have an appreciation. When I spend money, I see the ramifications of that. I see the, direct result. I see the bank account go down, which means I think more about it. Do I really want to spend that money? Do I really want to, because I'm the kind of guy, I like to buy stuff. I'm not a shopper. I'm a buyer. Um, but then I think about, do I really, do I need a new amp? Do I need to go buy a new guitar? Do I need a new bike park? Do I need a new this or that, or, whatever toy? So, by simply being aware of the situation, you start to monitor yourself. So that'll be the first thing that'll happen is if you start tracking your sleep, you will probably find that you get more sleep simply because you're paying attention. The second thing will be you'll start to see trends. You'll see a trend. I'm quite certain of this, that if you aren't getting quality sleep, you will see that you don't feel as good. So you might have your 8 hours sleep. You might have gone to bed at 10 and you got up at 6, let's say. But it was, a restless night. It was a 3. And then 2 days later, you're tired. You're not feeling so great. That's because you didn't get, quality night's sleep. And then you'll see, I think that, when you get quality night's sleep, when you get sufficient amount of time, and you also get, it's quality sleep. So it's a 1 or, maybe a 1 plus, then you will feel better and you'll begin to feel better. One of the manifestations of that I found is that I no longer use an alarm clock. I set my intention before I go to bed. All right, I need to get up at 5, or I need to get up at 6. Let's say I have to drive to Tahoe for a court appearance, or I got to drive to Stockton or something. All right, so I need to get up earlier. And I just tell myself I'm going to get up earlier, and I naturally get up. So instead of being awoken by some alarm screaming in your ear in the middle of some sort of REM phase, I wake up in a much more natural progression, which makes me feel better. It's a much more natural process. Now, if you'd have told me 2 years ago that I could get by without an alarm clock, I would have told you were nuts. But I've just trained myself to do that, and I found that it actually works. One of the things that I just decided to do is I no longer have my phone in the bedroom. Um, uh, there's a bunch of reasons for that, but I don't use the phone as an alarm clock. I do have, just an old fashioned, Walmart alarm clock that I never use as far as the alarm, but at least I can see the time. If I wake up and I can look at it and go, well, what time is it? So I know, should I go back to sleep? Do I need to get up? But I allow my body to dictate those sorts of things. So, your secret weapon to performance is getting a good night's sleep. In my book, Legalese, How to Survive a Law Practice, I talk at length about the importance of sleep. If there's only one thing that you're going to do to improve your performance, it's get enough sleep. If you get enough sleep, if you go in well rested, all other things being equal, you are going to perform way better than if you show up and you're tired. Your brain will be sharper, your reflexes will be faster, everything about your persona will be better. Now, I want to, I don't want to beat this horse too much, although it is such a critical component. But I do want to talk about something that I learned the other day. I was listening to a podcast, as I often talk about, many times when I'm driving, especially if I have a longer drive, instead of listening to the news or listening to the music, I'll put on a podcast and actually try to make it an educational experience. And I was listening to a podcast called The School of Greatness, which I highly recommend. Lewis Howes does it. And he had on a guest, Rory Vaden, Vaden. And he was talking about multiplying your time and your income. And what he was talking about was third level productivity. So, first level productivity is efficiency, right? Do things faster. Um, with so this is the Henry Ford approach. We're gonna have an assembly line. We're gonna specialize in things. We're gonna just do things faster. You're gonna get better, and you can do things faster, and that works up to a certain point. I mean, that's obviously very important. Being able to do things effectively and efficiently without wasting time. Um, but there's a real limit to that. The second level of productivity is what Stephen Covey back in the 80s talked about, and that was prioritizing. What is important, doing the right things. So doing the things that are going to be important, rather than just simply the things that are urgent. So prioritizing stuff in your life. And what Rory Vanden talked about is now the third level of productivity, the ability to multiply your productivity. And what does that mean? Well, um, uh, that is figuring out things that you can do that will save you time in the future. And I'm in the few minutes that I have left. I'm not going to give it the justice that it serves. So I really recommend that you listen to that podcast. It's podcast 1133. But the idea is simply that you can't get more time today. You can't multiply your time today, but you can multiply your time tomorrow by investing in automation, in learning how to delegate, in eliminating the things that don't need to get done. That's part of what Stephen Covey would talk about is, well, what are priorities? If it's not important and it's not urgent, then why are you even doing it? It's either something that should be delegated or just completely eliminated. In my book, I called it the one touch system, and I used it in a slightly different manner, but it basically was the same kind of idea of figuring out, of all the stuff that comes into your life every day, how much of it can you really eliminate? Probably a great deal if you were willing to just have the courage to say no. No, I'm not going to do that. No, thank you. No, I appreciate you inviting me to that event, but no, I'm not going to be able to attend. No, I'm not going to be able to take that case. No, I'm not willing to, join that committee or whatever. I mean, we've been so taught to say yes, yes, yes all the time. And I think we do ourselves and others around us a disservice when we constantly say yes and forget that no actually gets us to our goal oftentimes faster, because you should always remember, whenever you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. You just may not know what you're saying no to, but every time you agree to work late, you're saying no to being home with your family for dinner. Whenever you join a committee, you're saying no to doing something else. So it's just important that you understand that we all have a finite amount of time, and learning how to say no and eliminate things that you don't need to do, the ability to automate and make the investment to automate, even if that means that it'll take longer to do something. That old saying, give a man a fish and you can feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you can feed him for a lifetime. It takes longer to teach a person to fish than it does to just give them the fish. But in the long run, it will save you a tremendous amount of time. They will be able to produce on their own. Delegate and realize that you just have to be willing to make the investment to help people grow so that they can do it without you in the future. And what does it have to do with sleep? Well, sleep is an investment, right? A lot of people just have this idea or this belief system that sleep is just a waste of time. Sleep is an investment in your performance, and I think that if you approach sleep like that sleep is an investment in your performance, it will take on our level of priority. And when you need to say yes to sleep, which means you may need to say no to binge watching. You may, a Netflix movie, you may need to say no to going out on to a certain party or staying late. So there's our 20 minutes. I'm, uh, you know, I always promise you that I'm going to stay within 20 minutes because it's important. I want to respect your time, but make the investment in sleep and it will pay huge dividends. It is the secret weapon to success. So I hope that this is helpful for everybody. I hope that you at least give it some thought, track your time, track the amount of sleep, and I think that you will see that your performance will begin to improve simply by adding that one component to the rest of your life, and then other things will start to fall into place. So again, as I always say, be grateful for what you have and be willing to work for what you want. You all take care now. We'll talk to you soon.